Well, another day and the BBC is embroiled in yet another impartiality row after branding a political festival attended by Rishi Sunak a far-right rally. Sunak spoke at the convention hosted by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, warning that hostile states will increasingly drive people to our shores to destabilise Western nations unless leaders crack down on illegal migration. Despite the event being attended by a range of centrist and centre-left figures, including former Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi and Albanian leader Edi Rama, the Beeb's presenter and on-screen graphics still labelled it as a far-right rally. So tonight I am asking, is it really far-right to want to control immigration? Let me know your thoughts, gbviews@gbnews.com. You can, of course, tweet me at gbnews. While you're there, go and vote in our poll. It's live now. I'll bring you the results very shortly, but going head-to-head on this is the former Assistant Government Whip Damien Moore MP up against author and broadcaster Jenny Barnett. Both of you, thank you very, very much. Great to have you both on the show. Damien, I'll start with you. Do you think it's far right to want to control your borders?
Of course it's not. It's what most ordinary people on the streets are talking about. When I get people coming up to me, my constituency, whether it's on the street or in the supermarket, they're saying, they want control of this issue. We were elected to take control of this issue. And actually it transcends all different parties. Very many people from different political parties are saying they don't vote Conservative necessarily, but they want this issue tackled. And we are committed to doing that. We have a plan. We want to sort this out. And the Prime Minister meeting a counterpart that's faced with this on the front line, is absolutely the right thing to do to tackle this, because it's not just a British problem, it's a problem right across Europe as well.
Jenny, was that a far-right rally for you? Was the BBC right to label it as such?
Well, it was. It was a right-wing political festival in Rome organised by her hardline brothers of Italy. Now, I agree actually with Damien. It is a subject that all of us are interested in. Your government, however, have not dealt with it. They don't know how to deal with it. You've had 1 or 2 or 300 or 400 people trying to deal with it, and you haven't dealt with it. And it's because it's anti-humanitarian the way you're looking at it. And what old Meloni is doing, given that she's got her far-right cohorts, Sunak looks more presentable than Orbán does from Hungary. So what you've got is a situation here where Rishi Sunak, who flip-flops like an old salmon, doesn't know what he's doing. So he's running along to find out the best way forward. Meloni hasn't done it. She isn't doing it right. What is the right way of looking at immigration? If you look, what she says, it threatens citizens' security and quality of life. Our immigrants don't do that. They run the care homes, they run the NHS, they're not doing...
They were talking mostly about illegal immigration, to be fair, Jenny. I'll come back to you, though. Damien, do you want to come back to that? I mean, I think the gist was that, Rishi Sunak is being used to kind of whitewash what was a far-right event there.
Not at all. You've already said yourself there were very many other politicians from different parts of the political spectrum there. That's absolutely right that they were attending this because it is an issue that transcends all the political views. And those countries on the front line in Europe, Italy being one of the most, the Lampedusa migrant situation has increased by 50%. And it's right that Prime Minister Meloni wants to deal with that. They are dealing with things there on the front line, as I've said, and we can work together. We've got to work with people. Italy is a partner. It's a partner in the G7. It's a partner in NATO, and it's a partner where we can work on this issue together with. The Prime Minister was criticised for not talking to one Prime Minister a week or two ago. Now he is talking to Prime Ministers. He's getting criticism from that as well. But you can only do this as a joined-up way of working with very many other countries working across Europe to tackle this issue, to stop the people trafficking and to make our borders safe and to control migration, because that's what people want us to do. It is completely wrong to brand this as far right, and I think it was sloppy or lazy at best and damn well malicious at worst, and it's got to stop another week when we're talking about BBC bias.
All right, Jenny, go on.
Well, look, it was a far-right rally, full stop. Rishi Sunak went out there, they hug each other, they kiss each other on the steps, and we're forced to looking at a man who doesn't know what he's doing. And given that he doesn't know what he's doing, he's holding hands with people who I would prefer he didn't hold hands with. I come from a background where we were flip-flopped around in 1948, and now look what's happening in Gaza. What is the problem with, in quotes, immigrants? What are you so terrified of that you're not looking at this in a global sense? We are a global family. It's going to get worse with climate change, with wars, poverty, destabilisation. What are you going to do? You're going to chuck everybody out so that we live on this little island all on our own. And whether you like it, the Prime Minister of Italy is a nationalist, and it's going that way in Sweden, and it's going that way in Germany, because the left is not standing up and saying enough is enough. And what Rishi Sunak is doing, he's running away with his little feet. He's running away.
Okay. Oh, all right, I'll let you come back to that then, Damien. I mean, do you have any truck for that?
Well, the problem with the left is, of course, they don't have any plan. We see that here at home with what Keir Starmer does. They don't vote for any of the controls that we want to put into place. The Prime Minister responded to the Supreme Court judgment, has made sure that we tie up all those loose ends that we need to do, and, of course, is working in a global sense with partners, particularly on our own doorstep in Europe. So, actually, those are the right things to do to make sure people in this country have the security that they need to tackle this issue. They want it sorted out, they want it tackling, and to say to do nothing is not acceptable. But you can't do it alone. You've got to work with national partners. You can't just say, oh, we'll just do it on our own. These people are coming from very many other places.
Right. Jenny, can I just ask you, do you genuinely, in your heart of hearts, do you think anything other than open borders is far right?
No, I don't. I think that we have to sit down across all parties and work out what is the best way for people who are lawyers, doctors, teachers, coming over on little boats, running away from all
legally.
situations.
Come here. The best way is to come here legally, surely.
So what's happening? Why have for 13 years has this Tory government not dealt with all these things? And you, in your last thing, I've been watching the news about children in Wales.
Yeah.
What do you want to teach children? That it's an us and them society? It is not us and them. You know, there for the grace of God go I. Rishi Sunak is prepared to flout laws to get what he wants. And he's holding hands with people who are dangerous. And it is no way to exist in 2024 as well.
But both of you, thank you very much. A spirited head-to-head, which is what we like. Yet another one we obviously could have carried on for at least another hour. So thank you very, very much. That is the former Assistant Government Whip, Damien Moore MP, up against author and broadcaster Jenny Barner. You know, it's a good head-to-head when neither one of them is really happy at the end of it. They're still chomping at the bit. But we contacted the BBC for a response earlier today. They refused to provide one. So there we go. So who do you agree with? After the BBC described Giorgia Meloni's political festival attended by Rishi Sunak as a far-right rally, is it really far right to control immigration? So Chris on Twitter says, no, it's common sense. Uncontrolled immigration is the reason why we can't see a GP or get a house. Ali on Twitter says, it's the extreme left that consistently uses the far right label for political purposes. Anything the BBC disagrees with is shrugged off as far right. Hey on Twitter says, yes, it is. The right blame everything on immigration to cover their own failures, and unfortunately, it has made the UK a less welcoming place. Right. Your verdict is in. 7% of you say it is far right to want to control immigration. 93% of you say that it's not. So a resounding victory for our man Damien there. But